What a nail-biting day. What a difficult day for the sailors. It was certainly easier to watch on television than being on a racing boat today. There are days like today when we feel sorry for some of the sailors. To see the 3 racing boats sailing at 35 knots and a few minutes later at 3 knots was really surprising. We'll have to get used to this. Congratulations to Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli for a first win and to Emirates Team UK for remaining unbeaten so far. Results: for race, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli wins against American Magic. I don't have the delta. Second race, Ineos Team UK wins by 59 seconds against American Magic. Let's talk about the first race. Terry, it was a difficult day for you with the wind jumping like that. We could hear Dean saying racing today was a bit of a lottery. Do you agree with this statement from Dean?
Do I agree that the racing was a lottery?
This is what he said on television today, briefly.
I think it was a lottery for all 3 of us. And, you know, it probably in race 1, it was pretty indicative of the fact that we fell off the foil and Luna Rossa did a good job up the beat. And then they fell off the foil and we popped going around the top mark and passed them downwind and got a couple 100 meters ahead of them. And then we fell off the foil and they got off the foil and sailed away from us. So, but at any given moment, all the teams were dealing with the same thing. So, you know, it's I guess we drew the unlucky number in the lottery.
But it seems that you have some difficulty staying on the foiling lights. Is that new? Do you know the reasons?
I would suspect our foil's small. Yeah, that's probably the reason. And yeah, I mean, you hedge when you design the boat 2 years ago. You're making decisions on what you think the conditions may or may not be, and so, you know, I don't look at today and think anything other than we have to continue to stay committed to learning how to sail our boat, learning how to race our boat, and doing a good job at that. And I think, as you saw today, at any given time, the boat that kind of got going and was managing to stay up won the race.
Yes, you took the lead on the second leg.
Yeah, I mean,
coming at full speed, and then you suddenly stalled.
But that's not anything that Luna Rossa did right or wrong. It's just we happened to be in the right spot at the right time and got the boat going. So, you know, it's hard racing when it's like that, and you basically. We had a little bit of discussion in the pre-start about, you know, almost racing as if the other team's not there and connecting the dots of the breeze and doing the best job that we could there. But it was hard, and, you know, some days you're the bug and some days you're the windshield.
Keiko, it seems that you managed to stay longer on the foiling light. You must be pleased with your performance of today.
Yeah, I mean, for sure we stayed on the foils for longer. Otherwise, we would have not won the race. Yeah, we have, as Terry said, very hard conditions. We have definitely bigger foils. So it's a little bit easier for us. But if you're on the wrong side or if you don't connect to the next path, you may lose the race. At one stage, the American friends did a very good job on overtaking us. And we were worried. We were nervous, but we keep ourselves calm and waiting for our moment, and there is no point on start screaming or it was not easy.
What kind of a minefield today, no?
Yeah, it was a minefield. It was absolutely a minefield, and not easy conditions at all. Right on the limit for racing, but you know we know the wind limit, and we're just above at the start time. Otherwise, we would have not had a start.
Giles, another win. Yesterday, you kept the right all day at all cost, and you won both races. Today, it was not obvious there was a better side today.
No, it wasn't. I think today really was all about just staying in that wind, and ultimately, every team out there was going to fall off the foil at some point today. And I think to be able to win, you had to have a package underneath you that was capable of taking off well.
It seems that you don't really care about the course of the boat. You just want to stay on foils, even if the VMG is sometimes negative.
Yeah, on days like today, that's for sure the case. It really is about keeping the boat on its legs, and as you said, you can be sailing around at 35 knots, or you can be in the water doing 4 knots. So yeah, your direct course to the next mark doesn't really matter a lot of the time.
It seemed that you form a great pair with Sir Ben. Did you race together a lot or only in the previous America's Cup?
Yeah, we've raced together since 2014. I joined Land Rover BAR in the last Cup, and previous to that, I raced against him as well. So yeah, I suppose we go back a reasonably long way in the competitive sailing world as competitors and as teammates.
Terry, one last question. You were stuck on the water before the start of the second race. Did you think you lost the race there?
No, not at all, because it was too much of a minefield. And I think as we saw, I mean, we basically pulled even with Ineos at the top mark, and we were having a good displacement battle downwind, and they got a little bit of pressure in front of us, and we're able to get their boat up and out of the water. And yeah, I mean, it's swings and roundabouts.
Thank you. Questions? Yes, Matt?
Giles, do you agree with Terry that it was a lottery out there today, or do you think that you have made some big gains in your light air performance from the World Series regatta?
For sure, we've made gains in the light airs. I wouldn't go as far as to say that today was necessarily a true read on light airs performance. As I said previously, today was really about keeping the boat on its legs, and having a boat underneath you that you could take off in very efficiently was really the winning factor today. On if it was a lottery, I mean, it's yacht racing. There's always an element of chance out there. Today was a up and down day, pressure, direction. I think all of us out there could see where the wind was. The question was, could we get to it? So yeah, that's how I'd summarise it today.
Next, Michael.
Francesco, there's been a lot of talk about the wind limits, the lower wind limits. As a sailor, what do you think about the wind limits at this regatta?
I think that we made the rules, and we had that number for a long time, and we designed the boats for it. Obviously, if you really design too much the boat for very marginal conditions, you may give up something on the higher range. So I think it's quite normal to see the boats struggling a little bit on the very bottom of the range. And there are moments where, you may start the race with the right number, like say 7, 8 knots of wind, but there are big holes in the course. The wind may drop to 5 knots. And
3 knots today.
Oh, 3 knots. And there is not much you can do. You just have to be patient and wait for the next puff and get going again, or try to avoid those points on the race course. But at times, like we saw on the second race, on the top mark, there was nothing, neither left or right. And you just have to be patient. And yeah, that's all.
Yes, David Long.
Thanks. Giles, David Long from Stuff. On that final leg, I think you had 11 minutes to get there, and it was very slow going, first of all. What was the feeling like on the boat, and were you confident you'd make the time limit?
No, we weren't that confident we'd make the time limit. Yeah, for sure. That last leg, it very much turned into a race against the clock. We'd spent an awful lot of time with the boat going slow in the water, and yeah, we were certainly pretty concerned at that, especially when we were doing 2 or 3 knots at the windward mark. And yeah, the frustrating thing was that we could see that the wind was just holding up 3/4 of the way down that final leg, and it was all about just punching through that light spell and getting back into it. And I suppose fortunately for us today, we managed to get across with, I think, inside.
2 minutes. Yes, 2 minutes before the time limit.
There you go, 2 minutes. So yeah, just enough.
Yes.
Terry,
Duncan?
just wondering, how can you sum up the mood in the camp now after a couple of days sitting 0 and 3? And what do you make of tomorrow's forecast for your team?
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten beaten around enough over the last 25 years of sailing that a couple days, it's going to take a little bit more than that. So Kiko's been spending the last part of 10 years tacking on us, so we're used to it. And, you know, I think when you look at sitting here, I know when we talk about it amongst the team, you know, it's business as usual. You know, we have to stay committed to our path and stay committed to the process that we race the boat and do those things well. And you know, it swings and roundabouts. For tomorrow's forecast, we've had Chris was talking about a little bit of, you know, the first race could be pretty good. And then there's supposed to be a line of thunderstorms coming through for the timing of that could happen during the second race, depending on, you know, obviously it's the weather, so you take it all with a pinch of salt, which could upset the wind field for the second race. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Just
Chris.
while I've got the mic. Giles, could you just take us through the outhaul situation and how is that going to affect you sort of moving forward?
Yeah, well, we received a protest from Luna Rossa last night about a mainsail ruling. From our point of view, it was a marginal call that didn't really have any performance gain. It's been dealt with. We're moving forwards. So yeah, that's really all I've got to say on it.
Chris Reeve.
Giles, you guys got really close to the spectator fleet out there today. Were they inside the course boundary?
I'm not sure they were inside, but they were certainly pretty close on that right-hand boundary looking upwind. I think I wouldn't be able to tell if they were inside or out, but yeah, they were reasonably close.
What was the feeling going in to make that manoeuvre then?
It's the same as every other manoeuvre. We just can't overshoot for obvious reasons. And today, I mean, we had to push that right-hand boundary really hard because that's where the breeze was hanging out. It was really localized. So, yeah, the spectators down that side of the course would have got a good view of us.
More questions from the floor? Yes.
Francesco, tomorrow is the day where you have the two races. How the dynamics, or how is the feeling where you have such important day every weekend with the two races compared to the other days?
Yeah, we call it the Super Sunday, I think. Yeah, it's an important day. It's a super day. Yeah, it's going to be interesting with the weather. We have all these thunderstorms coming, and so it's going to be an interesting day, probably a wet day as well. It's very important, 2 points on the board, and yeah, we need to collect as many as possible.
No more? Zoom? Antonio?
Hello. First question. Ed Gorman.
Question for Giles. Giles, obviously we've heard a lot from Ben over the last days and weeks about the incredible journey that you guys have been on. It would be interesting to hear your perspective, first of all, on the role that Ben has been playing as leader of the team, and also what you think the key technical improvements that you have made. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I think as everyone knows, we've been having a tough time of it over the past 5-6 weeks, maybe a little more, and I think all of our approach has been that we have to dig our heels in, we have to take it as a bit of a siege mentality, and we have to make gains where we can, and that's really been the message that Ben's been driving home to all of us, and you know, we've been following suit, and it's, you know, I think it's testament to the effort that everybody's put in that's paid off. You know, we're 2 days into this competition and we've got 3 wins on the board, which you know, I think if you'd have told us we'd have done that a few weeks back, we'd have you know, we'd have taken a fair chunk out of that person's arm. So yeah, we're happy, but equally we understand that we still got an awful long way to go. So we'll continue to push.
Next, Zoom. Antonio?
Yes. We have Mark Reid in the corner. Okay.
Hi, this question is for Terry. Certainly today was a challenge. How do you make sense out of what happened today when really your boat's performance didn't have a lot to do with the results? What do you tell your team in the locker room, so to speak?
Well, I'd say the boat's performance had a lot to do with the result because the other guys were flying and we were stuck in the water a bit. So, you have to, but you do have to keep it in perspective. And I think, the race course was filled with minefields, and so more so than ever, it's just about simply keeping our heads down and keep doing our jobs and not deviating from our either from our work ethic or from our program as we're going forward. You can't really, if you hit a panic button or anything like that, it's not going to do any of us any good. So we just have to stay committed to what we're doing and how we're racing the boat.
Thank you. One last question with Zoom.
Last question, Michele Tognozzi, Farevela.
Hi everybody, a question for Francesco Bruni. Ciao Checco. You sailed very well today in light breeze. Yesterday you had medium breeze. Tomorrow we are stronger breeze is forecasted. I would like to know what are your expectations for tomorrow's match against Ineos, which has shown great confidence so far.
Well, I think that we don't have any deficit in speed in the stronger wind. We know that we can win races against Ineos. I think the performance of the boats are very, very close. If you have a bad start, you're going to struggle to win the race. If you do mistakes, you're going to struggle to win race. You need to sail well, and then that's when you're going to win the races. And it's as simple as that. We have to race well.
Thank you very much. No more? Thank you very much. So tomorrow, this is the end of the second round robin of the Prada Cup. Second round robin, race 2 will be Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli against Ineos Team UK. Second round robin, race 3 will be American Magic against Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli. Thank you very much and see you tomorrow.